Hi everyone, I'm Linda. Welcome to my channel, How Does She Do That? Let me give you an idea of what my channel is about. I am 60 years old and I'm visually impaired. I have a rare eye disease called retinitis pigmentosa, also known as RP. I have a brother and sister who are both blind from it, and they were diagnosed in their teens. Unlike them, I was diagnosed when I was in my early 30s. And it stayed stable for several years, but I started to lose my night vision and then my peripheral vision, and eventually it started to attack my central vision. So I essentially don't see a whole lot. Imagine looking through the fog and it's all broken up, distorted, kind of like a Picasso picture. And I don't have very much color in my vision anymore. I remember what color looks like and I can envision it, but I can't see it. And imagine looking through a couple paper towel rolls all day long, distorted vision, hazy, cloudy, and not being able to read. The only time I can read anything is if it's magnified like 100 times and maybe up on the TV in large print. In 1996 and 97, I had my kids. 2 boys, and I homeschooled them for 8 years, and during the time that I was homeschooling them I started losing my vision a little more each year. You could tell it was progressing. There came a point in time where I couldn't see to drive because I started losing my vision in my right eye. I was able to pass the vision test, so I held on to my license, but I didn't drive for several years, about 8 years as a matter of fact. My oldest son got his permit and needed a licensed driver, so I would be the licensed driver and he would do all the driving. He was my chauffeur for a little while, and then my youngest son the next year started driving, so I had a couple years of someone to drive me around. But when the actual time came to go in and try and do the vision test again, I couldn't pass it, and I had to surrender my license. And you can imagine, excuse me, but that's very difficult because you are giving up your independence and such, giving up your independence essentially, and that's a very difficult thing to deal with. Imagine being able to drive all the time and all of a sudden that's just taken away. So in December of 2011, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. In January of 2012, I had a lumpectomy, and I went through a round of radiation February to March. By the time June rolled around, found out that the breast cancer had returned, and I ultimately had a bilateral mastectomy. In November of that year, I had reconstructive surgery. So as you can imagine, by the end of the year, a lot of stress, a lot going on. My vision loss got worse. I'd lost pretty much the vision in my right eye. It was all broken up. And I could still read out of my left eye, but it was difficult. Went on vacation April of 2013, and when I came back I said to my husband, you know, there's something wrong with my computer screen. I don't know what's going on. It's all broken up. And he came in and he looked at it and said, no, it's not your computer screen, it's your vision. Well, that was, pretty devastating. And I reached out to the Department of Health and Human Services. They put me in contact with an independent living counselor, and they had a class. It was a 10-week mini center for the blind. It was 1 day a week. So I enrolled in that class, and it was the best thing I ever did. It really helped me to cope with the stress and the daily changes in my vision. It taught me how to navigate through life and the different ways to adapt to your daily activities. I enjoyed it so much that I signed up to be a volunteer in that class, and I thoroughly enjoyed that because it was fulfilling for me, helped me grow as a person, and it helped a lot of other people that were going through the same thing I was going through. It really does help to be around people that are in the same situation you are because you know that they understand. So the class that I took in the mini center helped me to understand I had to reinvent myself. I had to learn things differently, adapt. And one of the resources they offered was the Hadley School for the Blind, which is now called Hadley. They had multiple classes to take, and you could do them, through the mail. So I learned uncontracted Braille, reading and writing uncontracted Braille, which was very helpful. I did bird songs. I loved to bird watch, couldn't do that anymore, so I learned to identify them by their songs. And the other class that I took through them was gardening, which was pretty amazing because I love to plant flowers in the spring and the fall, and I had an herb garden, so I learned how to adapt and how to do all of that all over again. Being physically active is another challenge. Think about, biking. I used to love to bike, and now my husband was so amazing. He had a tandem bike made for us. Absolutely love that thing. We take it everywhere. We travel. Wherever we go, we find biking trails, and we can go for miles. Hiking, you just find easier trails because it's very difficult to navigate, rocks and whatever anymore. So now we just do basically nice walking trails, scenic trails. Walking, I have a walking buddy, and she's amazing because she knows that I can't see where I'm going, and she will nudge me to keep me going in a straight line. Kayaking, used to love to do that. Now we have to do the tandem kayaks, but it's still just as amazing. I still love doing it. I have a mini trampoline that keeps me hopping. No pun intended. And I do yoga and different kinds of videos. I can hear what they're telling me to do. I don't have to see it, but I can hear it, and it just helps me to keep active and keep physically fit. So there's everyday stressors. There's things that are very difficult. For example, working on my computer. I have VoiceOver and I have NVDA, and sometimes I'll sit in there and I'll be doing something on my computer and it won't read an icon or something that's on the screen, and I need that to maybe pay a bill or something. And my husband came in one day. I'd been struggling for like half an hour with it, and I was so frustrated. And he said, "Can I help you with that?" And I said, "Yeah, I can't get it to do this." He sat down, did it, took like 2 minutes. Well, I was so frustrated. I ran in the bedroom, threw myself on the bed, and was kicking and screaming, "I hate this, it sucks. How come it's so easy for you?" And he came in, shoved me and said, "Get off my side of the bed." And I rolled over and I put my feet on his side of the bed, and I said, "I'm on your side of the bed again." And he shoved me again. Well, the third time he came in, he grabbed my shorts and yanked them off. And I said, "What a jerk." And he laughed and he said, "I made you forget about it, didn't I?" So you just kind of have to laugh and take things in stride. Yes, it's frustrating, it's difficult, but you know what? That's life, and you just deal with it and go with the flow. Speaking of fun, I learned late in life that I love roller coasters. So we started going to amusement parks, meeting my family. My family lives in upstate New York, and they would meet us at like Busch Gardens, whatever. And one day on that roller coaster, I remember the Griffin. Yeah, you come to a stop, and it tilts you 90 degrees facing down, and it's like, what is it, like 100 and something foot drop. And all of a sudden, it holds you there for a few seconds, and then it just drops you, and you're going like 60 miles an hour. And I remember screaming, and my son was sitting next to me, and all of a sudden, I'm like, "Ah!" And nothing's coming out. And I remember my son going, Mom, are you okay?" And I couldn't say anything until we got to the bottom, and I said, "Yeah, I'm freaking amazing." I just remember that feeling, and then I thought as we were doing that, losing your vision late in life is kind of like a roller coaster. It takes a lot of twists and turns and ups and downs. And you need to be happy Getting up every morning is a choice. I choose to be happy. It takes way too much energy to be miserable, so I choose to be happy. And that's the way you have to deal with things sometimes. Cooking and baking. I love to cook. I was not giving that up. So we've adapted my kitchen in many different ways, which we will show you. But I love baking, especially at Christmas time. I make 12 to 15 different kinds of cookies and fudge, and I give it to my neighbors, my friends. They love it. They're blown away. They can't imagine how I do it. But I love to feed people. I'm Italian, so hey, come to my house, you'll never leave hungry. But I bake, I cook, I love it. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video, and I hope I can help you in some small way. Some of the things we'll be covering in my videos are tips and tricks for the blind and daily living. For example, way around tags, halos or home appliance layovers, measuring spoons and cups, tips for relaxation throughout the day. Hope you enjoy my videos, and if you do, please don't hesitate to subscribe so you'll know when a new one is uploaded. Thanks so much.